Hey Adam, I wanted to discuss your video, which was titled "The Only Real Anarchists or Anarcho-Capitalists," and I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, and I'll explain why. The first thing you state is that these black bloc anarchists, or the people who are destroying "quote-unquote" property, are non-proprietarian anarchists, and you can't first of all, you can't really claim that because you haven't talked to them and they haven't been interviewed. So, so to make an assumption as to what they believe is, first of all, it's a little bit a fraud. It's a fraudulent premise. I can't claim to speak for what you say, except for using the words that you use, and you can't claim to speak for what these black bloc people believe if you don't hear any words from them, but don't actually listen to anything they say if they have anything to say. So don't first of all don't assume that these black bloc guys stand for the non-proprietarian anarchists like myself. I'm an anarcho-communist, which means that I believe in the abolition of currency and property. Not of possessions. I do believe that possessions should still be in place, but but when you make a claim that the only real anarchists are anarcho-capitalists, to claim that those of us who are anarchists that are communist in nature are not real anarchists is also another thing that it kind of felt like you were trying to put me through the shredder, like you really don't know what I believe, and you really don't know a lot about what most anarcho-communists believe either, it seems. So let me kind of give you a rundown of why I'm an anarcho-communist and why most anarcho-communists don't actually consider anarcho-capitalists to be true anarchists. Anarcho-communism is the belief that the workers or the people should be able to manage their own lives, should be able to manage their own property, and should be able to manage their own possessions, and should be allowed to live the life as they see fit. Now anarcho-communists do believe that property should not exist. They believe that property is basically by your birthright as a human, all humans should have equal access to all the goods of the earth. And so in that case, you have things like people buying up land and then letting it go fallow. We don't like anarcho-communists don't believe that land should go fallow. If somebody wants to farm it, or somebody wants to do something with it, let them. If it's not being used, let them use that property. Let them build a house on it. Let them do whatever they want with it. If it's not going to any good use. Anarcho-capitalists believe that in theory, one person should be allowed to buy the entire country's worth of land and then be able to rent it out for massive profits. I don't believe that should happen. In fact, mutualists also don't believe that should happen, even though mutualists are kind of an anarcho-capitalist style philosophy. But anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. But but anarcho-communists typically don't consider anarcho-capitalists to be real anarchists. They consider anarcho-capitalists to be anti-statist, which is very different from anarchism in general. Anarcho-communists believe that anarchism applies not just to the state, but anarchism applies to all forms of human interaction. That is, if you take a look at the employer-employee relationship, the employer-employee relationship is something unique that has coercion associated with it, even if there were no government to basically back up whatever the employer has to say. The employer does have a lot of leverage when it comes to the employee. The employee in a capitalist system would still need to make money to survive, and their value is based on what their employer considers them to be worth. Um, and in that case, if a guy's working as an accountant and the employer asks him to cook the books, right, and his options are I either cook the books or I lose my job, it's no longer a voluntary, I guess you could say, transaction between two people. It actually becomes a coercive transaction because there is the implied threat of the employee losing their job if they don't comply with the demands. And in an anarcho-capitalist society, that demand would not be considered illegal. So it would be considered just a demand from an employer to an employee. And so in that regard, I would consider anarcho-capitalism because it still believes in some form of hierarchy from one person to the next. I would consider anarcho-capitalism to be not real anarchism, and it's nothing against you. I really do appreciate a lot of the stuff you put in, a lot of the stuff you talk about, and I mean, this is me coming from another fellow veteran. I mean, I was in the U.S. Navy, so I think that your statement that the only real anarchists are anarcho-capitalists is a bad statement to make. It's sort of fraudulent in a sense. But if you have anything to say in response to this, what is it? Capitalism is built on hierarchy, which is formed on the system of currency, and that's how I see the world. It is really just based on a system of currency. So, and you could have competitive currencies. You can have a guy starting up their own currency and working it, but it's still, by definition, currency does create a hierarchical system, and so pure capitalism or anarcho-capitalism is not really anarchism because it does still hold certain things as certain hierarchies as established and well and good, and part of the natural order of humanity, which I don't believe in. So, but please, let me know if you have anything to say in response to this. Looking forward to it. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.